Welcome to Talking Grit, a Detroit Lions podcast. Talking Grit is brought to you by the Monroe County Reporters, Monroe's top news source for police, fire, and community events.
Depot Street, truck boy
Follow them on Facebook, and for $2.99 a month, you can become a subscriber and get the news you crave even faster.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Talking Grit. I'm Jason Harwood, and with me is Jacob Litton. Let's preview this Week 14 matchup with my most hated rival, and I think Jacob's too, the Green Bay Packers. Last year, both road teams won their matchup. Let's end that streak right here on Thursday night. Lions need to take it to them. We like this guy so much. We had him back, Dusty Evely from the Acme Packing Company. He's going to be back for an interview. You know, I love Dusty. You ask him a question, and then he'll answer my next three questions inside that first question. I love talking to Dusty. He's a lot of fun. So I hope you guys enjoyed that interview. But before we get started with all that, couple housekeeping things. We sold our first shirt, Jacob. We have merch. We haven't really pushed it at all. It's not a big deal to us. We just put it out there. But what's cool about this is that my 10-year-old Bradley designed that shirt. And that was the first one to sold. So when I told him, he was super excited. So if you're the person that bought that shirt, I want to say thank you for doing that, because you made a 10-year-old very happy on Saturday when that sold. He was just so jacked about it. So thank you for doing that. I appreciate it. If you're interested in our merch, it's in the podcast summary. There's a link in there. We're on Redbubble. If you want to look, that's cool. But anyways, whoever bought that, thank you so much. The second cool thing, Jacob, is that we got mentioned on the POD live stream this weekend. Jeremy and the boys over there at POD they did their 14-hour marathon live stream. We got mentioned a few times because of a couple of donations that were made. I told him not to mention me in the first one, but he read it out loud anyway. So that was really cool. So I want to give a shout out to Jeremy and the POD guys for giving us a little love over there. And, their Movember live event is on Wednesday night. So they're taking donations all the way up till then. So I think if you get to 50,000, which I think they're around 46,000 now, Jacob, Jeremy's going to get a tattoo, a real tattoo.
Wow. Of what? Have they determined that yet?
It's the Movember, it's a logo. So I think it's his face with a mustache on it, I think.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I don't know. So I don't know where he's putting it. I don't know where he's putting the tattoo. If you get up to 60,000, now that's going to be a big jump. But if you get up to 60,000, he shaves his head. So,
Wait. 50,000 is a tattoo. 60,000 is shaving your head.
Yeah.
He must really like his hair.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for me, it wouldn't be that big a deal. I'd be like, oh,
yeah.
All right. That's Monday. That's Monday night for me.
I already, Jason can't participate.
Much love to those guys over there. I hope they're live. They're having a live event tomorrow. I hope that goes really well. I'll be there supporting them. So I'm hoping that goes really well. Jacob, how was your Thanksgiving weekend?
Hey, man, the Lions won. It was really good. Saturday got a little bit better. The Wolverines pulled it out.
Oh, yeah.
We couldn't ask really for much more, right?
No, that was shocking. We went to Henry Ford Museum on Saturday. Normally, I'm always watching the Michigan-Ohio State game, but I had compromised with my wife. I didn't think there was a chance in heck that the Lions were going to, or the
Wolverines
going to pull that
Watch
out.
your mouth.
Yeah, and so, I know that we all think we want our team to win, but I thought it was a pretty big long shot. Although in this, in rivalries, anything can happen, and anything did happen in this game. I think I texted you. We sat down for at the beginning of the fourth quarter and just started watching it in the museum because, it was a tight game. We get Wolverines get down there, throw that first interception. We we turned it off, I texted you and you're like, "Go back to the museum, Jason. You jinxed my team."
Well, you're ruining it. Don't switch it up. Do exactly what you were doing.
Yeah, no, but I did not listen, and we went back and we got shakes and ice cream and sat and my boys sat and watched with my father-in-law. Even though my father-in-law is a Michigan State fan, he was rooting common enemy, so we were rooting against Ohio State. And yeah, what a great win for the program. So happy for those guys. But yeah, so let's move on to, Lions signed a lot of new players this week, and let's kind of introduce everybody to those players. The first player that I'm going to highlight is Jamal Adams. What did you think of that signing, Jacob?
I mean, obviously it's exciting just because of the name and the possibilities of what he brings. You know, lately he obviously has not been as good as he has been in the past, but I think that this is kind of the perfect situation for us and for him. We have all these injury issues. We need a veteran to come in. We signed a couple of veterans, but that was the idea behind this is we're getting a veteran, someone who's obviously he's still showing flashes. He's still able to, he's still able to play. This obviously is a much more exciting signing 3 or 4 years ago, but I think the most interesting part about this is, we signed him, but we have 2 of the best safeties in the game. So it seems like he's going to be spending a lot of time as like a hybrid linebacker kind of situation. What were your first thoughts?
Yeah, I first thought is where's he going to play? And because he left Seattle because they were trying to move him to the linebacker and he didn't want to play. But, probably when you're sitting in the unemployment area, you'll sign with a team, especially with the team with a 11-1 record. He lined up with the linebackers. I mean, that's what they've been tweeting out is that he's been, in their room, which is good. His run defense is solid. His coverage skills have declined, but he could blitz the passer really well, especially with all of the injuries that we've had at linebacker. This might be a perfect marriage for us to get a really high level player. As long as we can get him on board quick enough. He may play Thursday, just how short we are. So it'll be interesting. I don't know if you saw his quote, Jacob, but I'm going to read it right here because I loved it. This is Jamal Adams says, "They didn't have to call me. They didn't need me. They've been doing phenomenal. So just to get the call from a first-class organization like the Detroit Lions, it's a no-brainer for me." First-class organization. How it's all changed, right? 5 years ago, he gets a call from the Lions. He's not picking up the phone. His agent's not picking up the phone. We need our linebackers. If anything that our linebackers do struggle with outside of Derek Barnes was rushing the passer. We would send a blitz, but a lot of times we're not getting home. Hopefully Jamal Adams, he's kind of in that iffy mold that Iffy played, where he plays up closer to the line, was very good at blitzing, at least towards the end of last year. Iffy was really able to do that. So hopefully, if you're looking for a comparison, I mean, that's probably the Iffy position right there. Anything else you want to add on Jamal?
He's familiar with Aaron Glenn. So it seems like that kind of, familiarity probably helped out with that too, because we really, you look at the other people that we sign and most of them are just, veterans that we've gotten from other practice squads. This was kind of the highlight. This was the newsworthy one just because of the type of player that Jamal Adams has been in the past. So, Brad Holmes, Aaron Glenn, they seem to want to see what we have in Jamal Adams.
The Lions this week waived Maurice Alexander, but re-signed him to the practice squad today. They placed Malcolm Rodriguez and Mekhi Wingo on injured reserve. And as Jacob alluded to, the other 3 players that we signed, first player that we'll talk about is defensive lineman Miles Adam. He was off the Seattle Seahawks practice squad. He played 33 snaps for them this year. He's played 23 games in 4 seasons. His game that he played earlier this season was actually against the Lions on that Monday Night Football game. I DM'd Michael Dugan, who was the athletic writer for Seattle Seahawks, and I just said, anything you got on Miles Adam? And his was a short, sweet answer. It was, he's a dog, man. So, that seems like the type of player that the Lions sign, and we just need bodies right now. We need guys that can come in and play.
Absolutely.
The next guy that we signed was linebacker Quan Alexander. Signed him off the Broncos practice squad. This will be his 7th team. Does have an injury history. He is a former Pro Bowler. but he's got experience. He's probably going to be able to catch up to speed pretty quickly. And, I don't know if we're going to see him on the field this week, but we may. Last guy that we signed was defensive lineman off the Rams practice squad. That's Jonah Williams. He's a run stuffer. He could play the edge or defensive line. He started 22 games, including just 16 just last year for the Rams. So, the Rams were starting him last year. So, he's not that far removed from that. I think Brad Holmes was the one that originally scouted him. So, no surprise that he ended up in Detroit. Anything you want to add on any of these guys, Jacob?
No, obviously they're noteworthy because of the injuries and stuff that we've had, but we're not asking most of these guys to come in and necessarily contribute right away. They're not offering starting positions to them right now. We need depth, and we need to see what they have, and if they're able to be key rotational pieces, that's what we need as guys. We need dogs, right? We need you to come in here, be a part of the team. We need you to do your job.
Yep. I'm sure that they got, specific duties for these guys in mind, especially if they make it and play this week. Hopefully this injury bug just doesn't hit us on Thursday like it did last Thursday, where it just seemed like every other play where, person's down on the ground. It's going to be a tough game, though. Packers are tough. They're a tough team. It's going to be a hard-fought division game. We played 3 games in 11 days or whatever it's going to be. It's rough. Let's talk about the Packers. We don't need to go over impact players. Nothing much has changed in that realm since we played them a few weeks ago. But what we'll talk about is their results. You want to go over what their results were since week 9 there, Jacob?
Yes. After the loss to us, they won on the bye week, kind of had to regroup. Followed it up winning against at Chicago against the Bears, 20-19. Then they hosted the 49ers at home, a 49ers team that was definitely injury ravaged also, and they ended up winning 38-10. And then last week on Thanksgiving, Thursday night game, the Packers versus the Dolphins, they won 30-17. So they're right back on the winning streak again. They're 9-3. They've only lost 3 games. One of them was against us. One of them was against the Vikings. And then week 1, they lost that game to the Eagles. So this is a tough team, and they're getting hot at the right time. This is going to be a tough game. They obviously, especially after losing the last one to us, they really want this one.
Yep, and it could change the look of the division real quick if they were to take this one over. So Lions, going to have to come out and start out hot, and hopefully we could take them down. The injury report, as you would expect on a Thursday game, is quite extensive for the Packers, and not as many names on the Lions, but definitely some really impact players. So you want to go through the Packers injury report, Jacob?
All right, Packers injury report. Cornerback Jair Alexander, limited practice. You also got a limited practice out of defensive line Kenny Clark. Romeo Dobbs, the wide receiver. Let's see here. Josh Jacobs, limited practice. They're pretty sure he's going to go. Elton Jenkins, limited practice. He's the big offensive lineman. Linebacker Isaiah McDuffie. Offensive lineman Josh Myers. Left tackle, I believe, Rasheed Walker. And then defensive lineman Colby Wooden. These are all guys that got limited practices in. The big ones that did not practice, linebacker Edgerrin Cooper, cornerback Corey Ballantyne.
As far as the Lions, the list is a little bit smaller because a lot of our guys are on IR. Our IR list is very long. But as far as the guys that are on the active roster that did not practice, Taylor Decker, no practice 2 days in a row. Levi Onwuzurike, no practice 2 days in a row. Josh Pascal, 2 days in a row, no practice. And this is the big one for me. DJ Reader did not practice 2 days in a row, especially with Josh Jacobs coming to town. I haven't heard too much about Reader's injury. I don't think Decker, Onwuzurike, or Pascal go. Hopefully we can find Reader a way to get him on the field. Good news is Carlton Davis went from limited practice to full practice today. So that's looking pretty good for him to play, which, they got some speed on the outside of the receivers. It's going to be good to get Carlton back and then have Terrian on the other side so we could be full strength in the secondary at least. Hopefully we could hold him off so our pass rush can get there. And Emmanuel Mosley, who has full practice 2 days in a row. Looks like he's going to probably be a go. It was a hamstring thing that came up right before the game on Thanksgiving, so that's when they put him inactive, which was a surprise inactive for that game. So provide a little bit of depth at cornerback. So, and we still don't know what position E-Man's going to play when he does play. So we may or may not figure that out. Just depends on how that game goes.
Yeah, he just can't seem to shake the injury bug. But it'd be nice to have a healthy secondary. Last week you had Carlton Davis didn't play. Previously before that, Terrion didn't play. So it's like to get both of them back and to add E-Man is definitely going to be nice.
Yes,
and necessary.
Especially with the injuries at the other levels on the line and linebacker, to have your secondary back, secondary that's played really well this year. It would be important. All right. We're going to head over to our friend Dusty Evely. We're going to hit that interview up now. Hope you guys enjoy it. We'll see you on the flip side. All right, everybody. We have Dusty Evely back from the Acme Packing Company. We didn't scare him off the last time. After we got done, he told us he's a Tigers fan, which I got to thinking, like, that makes me more mad. Like, why are you a Packers fan? So, you like the Tigers. You could be on the good side, but no, that's all right. It was great to connect with you on the Tigers stuff, especially when we talked last time the postseason was winding down. It's great to have you back on, Dusty. How have you been?
Appreciate you having me back. Yeah, man. Excited to talk to you again. Excited to be able to do this. And when we finished up last time, like I said, we probably chatted for an hour after the fact, and it was kind of let's try to get together the next time, knowing it's kind of coming off the weird week with Thanksgiving and everything. So I am glad it worked out. I'm thrilled to be back here talking a little ball with you, man. Hopefully a game that plays out a little differently than the last time we talked.
Oh, you want to get beat by more points? Is that what you want? Oh man. No, it's great to have you on. I'm glad that we can, hanging out for an hour afterwards just, opens up and we can have a better rapport. So I was really glad that you were able to do that the last time.
Absolutely.
So I know we'll quit with the pleasantries. We're going to get to where we're enemies here. So we were kind of talking about before we got on here, but what's changed for the Packers since the last meeting? It's only been 4 weeks, right? So what has changed during that time that's going to make this game a little different, do you think?
Offensively, everything. I mean, the defense is its own thing. We can talk about that. But the offense, the last time we talked, Love was coming off. At that point, it was unclear whether he was going to play. He had obviously had the knee injury earlier in the season. He came back from that. He had the groin injury that he was coming off. I think it was after the Jags game. The Lions game was the next game after the Jags game. Yep. And so it was unclear whether he was going to play. They decided they were going to play him anyway. And he clearly was not 100%. And so one of the cool things the Packers really did when Love was out was with Willis, they opened up their run game. It was all this stuff I think Love or LaFleur had been trying to get to and just hadn't really gotten to, and this forced his hand a little bit. So they broke out a bunch of split guns, single wing spinner stuff with Willis. Like a lot of really cool variety. They've been working in pullers for a while, but they did a bunch of stuff that first week against the Colts with Willis, opened up the passing game a little more with the Titans. And then Love came back and was hampered. And so all that running game stuff that was really cool with Willis, they couldn't do because so much of that relied on, a spinner series. So much of that is I fake behind me. I got to spin back the entire way around. We had a bad knee and a bad groin. So physically he could not do it. I think they tried it in one game with Love. He could barely get the handoff off and they scrapped it all. And so when we talked last time, that was, at the time, it was kind of I don't know if Willis is going to start. There was a thought that Willis might start just because of the state of Love pulling his groin. He missed most of the second half of the game before that. And he played, but he was clearly immobile. They couldn't do a lot of the run stuff they wanted to do. They were doing a whole lot of, they got down early. They went to a lot of passing stuff. He threw a very confusing pick six, which honestly was not as bad as I thought it was in real time when I went back to go watch it. But the decision-making, I think, was off a little bit. I think he had sped his clock up just because of where he was physically. He didn't feel great about moving around the run game where it wasn't where it needed to be. Well, now, run game's open. We've seen that. Love is back since the bye, 100%. They've fully folded in all of the run game stuff they've been doing with Willis, all that spinner stuff, all the pullers, all the misdirection, all the really cool, really effective run stuff they've been doing. and they've been building off of that. Then now they've done that with Love, and they're able to bolster that with the pass game with Love, and he's been super efficient over the. He missed a throw this past week. I think his adjusted completion percentage the last week was 95%, something like that. So like he's been good, efficient. Deep ball's been looking good. Now you've got this cool run stuff. So he's still been a little erratic at times, but that might just be. That's not erratic. I think that might just be Jordan Love to some extent. But offensively, I mean, they were fairly buttoned up the last time they played Detroit, just because they did not, because Love couldn't do physically what they wanted to do. Everything's on the table now. And then defensively, I think the pass rush is a little better. They traded Preston Smith away. He's no longer in the building. They've given those snaps to Aaron Mosby, Brenton Cox, LVN. Lucas Van Ness has been on the field a little bit more. It's still not great. I mean, pass rush is still a little weak, but Van Ness is finally showing some flashes. Mosby's done some stuff. And then they're getting Quay Walker to kind of play a little more downhill. So Quay has been the dude just thinking too much, too many stutter steps. He doesn't really attack the hole. The past 2 weeks, he's finally come alive. Edgerrin Cooper's out, I think, this week. And he'd been kind of their flashy rookie, but I think Quay's looked better than he ever has in Green Bay. So the defense looks like they're firing downhill a little better. Everyone understands we're supposed to be doing a little bit more. Pass rush still an issue, but I do think the defense as a whole is more cohesive than they were, and the offense is more expansive and more effective and consistent than they were. Still an issue with drops offensively. I don't know if Dobbs is going to go this week. I think that might be an issue. Wicks took all those snaps last week. He had a bad drop in the middle that popped straight up in the air that easily could have been an interception. So we'll keep an eye out for that. But I just think offensively they're in a much better place, and defensively I don't think they're bad defensively the last time that they played the Lions, but that run defense, their gap integrity was bad. I just feel like they're better and they're communicating better on that front now. So I think offensively they're miles better. Defensively, I think they're a tick or two better than they were the last time.
All right. You covered like my next two questions in there, so I'm going to have to be creative because I was going to say the drops.
For a while, I'm sorry.
No, you're good, man. That's what I want you on for. You know your stuff. The drops that I saw, like there was one big one. What Watson had one on Thanksgiving, right? I mean, was that Thanksgiving?
Watson had one the week before.
The week before, okay.
He had that big go ball the week before against the Niners. Yeah,
yeah. So that has been still creeping up for the Packers, and as far as problem with the offense, then you think
it has been. I mean, I will say Watson gets his hate because he had a problem with drops early. Obviously, the first pass attempt to him in his career was that big drop against the Vikings his rookie year. So it's kind of been on him, and he's worn that as far as drops. That was his first one of the year. That Niners one, like he's turned into a very good, well-rounded receiver with very good hands. That one drop was the big one, but that's been his only drop of the year. But Wicks is, I mean, man, I said Wicks is kind of the wild card at this point. Reed will drop passes, but Reed's got pretty decent hands, and he's kind of their big threat, their big play guy for the most part. Wicks is the dude who, if Dobbs is down, and Dobbs has a little shaky hands, Wicks legitimately at some point this year had like a 27% drop rate. Like,
wow,
he is open. If you look at the metrics, Wicks gets open at a higher rate than literally any other receiver in the league. Like his separation metrics are insane. He just can't catch the ball. He had one this past week, middle of the field, that legitimately would have been a pick, I think, in the second quarter. But Watson was right there and knocked it down, but it popped straight up in the air. After that, he was fine. So if Wicks can get his hands under control, that's good. But I think with Dobbs, Dobbs is still in concussion protocol. He missed last week as well. If Dobbs is out, Wicks, there's going to be a lot of eyes on Wicks in terms of if he can hang out of the ball, because everyone else has been, I think it's evened out a little bit. Wicks still just has 1,000 issues with it.
Yep. I haven't watched all of the Packers games. Does Willis ever come out? Do they ever trade out Love and run a package just for him in a game, or is it just pretty much? No,
the thought was maybe. I think there's some plays they could do with that. I had my fingers crossed for like a 2 QB package at some point. But no, I think he's only been in. Last time we saw him was the the Jags game, and then I guess there's the blowout against the Niners. He was in for like the last series and they handed off. But no, I assume they've got in their bag. They've got a package for him. We have not seen it yet. It's possible we see something this week. Like that wouldn't shock me, but we haven't seen it yet since he's left.
Yeah. So some of the writers that in the Detroit area, we all respect LaFleur as a coach, but it just seems like he takes in the Lions series specifically, because that's the ones that we watch the most, obviously between the two, that LaFleur will be conservative when he shouldn't be conservative, and then take chances when he shouldn't take chances. And it seems like Campbell's on the right side of it, doing what he needs to do. So is that something that the Lions are forcing his hand to do, or is that just LaFleur? I mean, do you notice I guess my question is, does he coach different in the Lions games than any of the other games that you see?
Not that I've really noticed. I mean, I've I watch all of theirs fairly closely, and I've not really thought specifically about what he does differently against the Lions. It feels like he probably does the same. I don't ever feel like there's a pressing or one-upsmanship. I mean, I will say he's one of the more aggressive coaches in terms of going for it for fourth down. Early in the year, they didn't have a reliable kicker, and so that was part of it as they get down like inside the 40 there. But he seems like, and I think in years past, you could see him pressing a little bit more. He's in year 6 now. I think year 6 with the Packers, which makes me feel real old, dude. But it seems like, I think he's, over the past 2 years, it feels like he's leveled out a bit. I may pay attention to that. It's a very good question. It's not something I've noticed, but it's also not really something I've been looking for either.
Yeah, just a couple of the reactions that has been spotlighted on the sideline and that we've seen is, it just felt like, that he was frustrated with something, how the game went. It was something that the writers picked on here. And I just didn't know, for someone that watches all the Packers games, if you had noticed anything, but no, it's cool. Dusty, with the last time we played, this is going to be an indoors game. So I'm feeling that this game is going to be totally different. The weather last time played out opposite of what the national thought was going to be, that Goff can't play outside, but it looked like quite the opposite. I know some of it was Jordan Love being hurt, but what did you think about that performance last time with the weather, and how is it going to be different this time with, indoor game?
Yeah, it certainly played out differently. I mean, I thought Goff was going to float a couple. I think he completed his first 11 or something, which I know he'd been doing quite a bit up until that point, or at that point. So I think it was his performance more than anything that kind of surprised me. I was very much in the camp of Jared Goff cannot throw when it's cold and wet, and I mean, for most of his career that was true. That was different against the Packers the past week. So I will wear that one. I mean, I will say, yeah, Packers offensively, Kentucky is just different. I think they will be different. They want to run the ball more. I think they're better at running the ball more. So it does feel like even in a dome, I could see the Lions maybe trying to open that up a little bit more, since they have their comfort and familiar with them. Well, I'm not going to say that word because apparently I don't know how to say that word. Well, I would say defensively, the Packers defensive backs they're beat up. They're like, if you look at where they're beat up, that's where they're most beat up. Jair's been out, Ballantyne's out, Nixon is fine. Like, if you're going to attack them, it feels like attacking them through the air, especially in a dome, makes a lot more sense, I think, than on the ground. I think the Packers run defense has been better, and the Lions are going to try to run the ball. I do feel like maybe you see a little more pass heavy approach from the Lions would be my guess. Whereas I think the Packers just want to run. They will take those big shots to Love. They've been a whole lot of like run, get that run stuff going, and then everything's 20 yards down the field. Like, it's a very like throwback Air Coryell, like mid 70s Steelers approach. Just struck the ball. Terry Bradshaw has been a lot of what that offense has been. So it almost feels like reverse from how these roles have been in the past. I wouldn't be shocked to see the Lions pass a little more, and I wouldn't be shocked to see the Packers try to run a little more.
Yeah, DJ Reader has not practiced the last 2 days, so if he does not play, that's gonna.
And those linebackers too. I know Anzalone was kind of the dude that kind of made some of that stuff go. And what the Packers are doing in the run game is just put the linebackers in hell. And I feel like they can probably do that, especially if DJ Reader doesn't go. I feel like that opens it up a little bit more.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough one for sure. Might see Broderick Martin in there, another big body. We'll see. Depends on no practice 2 days in a row. And using a Thursday game, that's not the best thing. I just have a question for you in general. I'm just curious, what would you consider a successful Packers season at this point in the season, where you're at, where your record? I mean, compared to maybe the beginning of the season, where would you consider a successful Packers season?
Yeah, it's funny because you say record, but there's record, then there's also position in the division.
Mm-hmm.
third in the division is just absolutely bonkers with a 9-3 record. I mean, before the season, if you asked me, I would have said I had such very high expectations. I would have said trip to the NFC Championship game, playing the NFC Championship game, because last year felt like kind of the ascending year. This year is going to be put all together as the season's played out. I feel like they've gotten better. They figured some stuff out, but they're still very much. I think they are still the youngest team in the league. I think they were that before, and they traded Preston Smith away, and they got even younger. He was one of the few guys over 30 that was on the team at that point. But they still have, I mean, like we talked about inconsistencies with the wide receivers. I think the offensive line still has some. They're not quite all there with the pieces. I think that the defense has been getting better, but it's not quite where they want to be. So I think if this team made a run to the Super Bowl, I would not shock me, because I do think they have that talent. I think they can get hot. I think they can do that. But right now, give me to the divisional round. Win a wild card game. Give me to the divisional round. Give me a good game in the divisional round where you at least have a chance to win. And if you make it further than that, I think that's great. But I think if you win a playoff game, you could see, all right, man, listen, we thought this was the years in the year, but we got better. This was, we're now going in the second year with Halfley defense. We got these wide receivers or another year. I think Reed has been ascending, but has still been a little inconsistent. So I think there's still room for growth where we thought maybe this was a finished product. So I'll take a wild card win, knowing full well that if they get hot, I don't think this is me being a homer. I think they've got the dudes. I think they've got the coaching to run and win against everyone. I think that's played out pretty well this year, even against the teams they've played and lost against. They've been in every single one of those games. So I'm optimistic about where this team could be, but I'll say win the wild card game, and I'd feel pretty good about where this team's at.
It's a tough division. I mean, it's really tough. You got the Lions and Vikings obviously outplayed everyone's expectation. So yeah, you're right. I mean, be 9-3 and being third in the division, that's insane.
I need to look up the stat. I saw this somewhere. I think the Packers, I think the teams that have beat them collectively have like a 28-4 record. Like it's absolutely insane. Like it's ridiculous. And the Lions beat them by 10. Those other games were one possession games. It's just absolutely insane.
All right. So he kind of touched on this, but you think I'm going to ask you again, how are the Packers offense going to try to attack this defense? I'm assuming you're saying Josh Jacobs is going to be the key.
Yeah, they've got 3 dudes now. Josh Jacobs is going to be the dude. They're giving him a ton of carries. Chris Brooks has kind of eclipsed. It was Emmanuel Wilson was a 2. Brooks has gotten more snaps than him. Every single one of those dudes is just a load. Like none of those guys is like, oh, where's your third down scat back? We don't have one of those. All those guys like 240. So Chris Brooks is kind of 2. Wilson's the 3. And all those guys can run. They want to attack you between the tackles. You'll see them run sweep stuff occasionally, but most of the stuff's with Bo Melton. It's all under runs with Bo Melton. Most of the stuff they want to do, they want to beat you between the tackles. They want to beat you with misdirection, pre-snap, post-snap. Again, all that spinner stuff. They've got a solid 10 plays off of that standard spinner motion they've got that they keep building off of each week. Every week we see a new wrinkle. So they want to beat you that way. They want to basically put the linebackers' heads in a blender, pound you up front, and then take shots over the top. Like that's what they want to do. So the key in this offense right now, it's insane given how much they paid Jordan Love, is Josh Jacobs. Like that guy, I don't know how much of him you've watched outside the Lions game. And you've got your own Josh Jacobs with David Montgomery. So you know the type. No, the first guy never brings that guy down.
Yep.
Like he's always falling forward. First guy never brings him down. You'll see someone get a hand on him in the backfield and like, oh, he got 6 yards out of that. So he's the dude stirring the drink right now, man.
Yeah, I'm not happy that he's turning out that way for you guys.
Well, I'm not happy you guys got David Montgomery. Here we are.
I know. Yeah. That's it. You're right. You just look at David Montgomery, and I'm sure Josh Jacobs, they have like 3 levels of every run. It's like, oh, they're going to be down. Oh, they got him. Oh, no. And then the offensive line comes up and pushes them for another 2 or 3 yards. And it's like, all of a sudden it's like, well, 1 yard gain, turns into an 8-yard gain. And it's fun and getting angry run, we had an angry run last week. We won. The Lions won. That's Penei Sewell. Our offensive lineman got angry run on the week.
He farmed a man into hell, man.
Yeah.
God. Oh, yes. I mean, that stiff arm picture. So whoever like screenshotted that is just it's awesome. So Josh Jacobs, just going back to him, has been limited practice the last 2 weeks. You're confident that he's going to go?
Yeah. I mean, that seems kind of it's a rest thing. He had I think it's a knee injury, knee or ankle or something like that. He had, I think he had 26 carries a couple weeks ago. They've played they're playing so many games in such a short amount of time. So I don't know. It was week 11, whatever the week 11 game was, the Niners game, I guess. And so it was is he going to play against the Dolphins? Yes, he is. He's going to play against the Dolphins. So he'll be out there. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if I try to spell him a little bit more, but no, he's 100. He will 100% be out there just based on what we've seen so far.
So you had a weird week, like we're having a weird week where we played Thursday and Thursday, back-to-back Thursday games. What did the Packers did like the Lions took, I think, Friday and Saturday off and then came back on Sunday. Did the Packers do the same thing, or did they just treat it like a normal week?
No, they did the same. They gave their guys day off. They just kind of reset a little bit. I think they may have given them one day off. Honestly, I can't remember. But I think they just kind of gave them a day off. Go be with your families. Get back in the building.
I know. Are you ready for some Sunday games to come back for our teams?
Kind of, but dude, honestly, like I love this past week. My wife was working as I was at home by myself with the kids all day. I just turned on Red Zone. I had no stress. Like I miss
Right.
having the games on Sunday, but dude, it's so nice. It's okay. My team has already won. They've already played. They've already won. All of my writing stuff I do, I've already got that out of the way. I can just watch football. Like this is so nice and relaxing. I love this.
Yeah, I know I agree with you. It's nice to just have that relaxing, no stress. But it's also like frustrating because like this Sunday coming up, it's gonna be like, I'm not really. We gotta wait like 10 days for our team. It's almost like a bye week in there, and it's good for them to rest up or whatever. But selfishly, I want to watch my team play football.
Oh yeah, I say that now. After that week and a half, I'm gonna be dying to have them back. Absolutely.
Yeah, well, we play Buffalo, after that's our next game, and that's a 4:25 game if it doesn't get moved to a Sunday night game.
That feels like that should get moved.
I know.
Yeah, right.
I just wish we were a little more healthy going into that, but we'll see how it goes. All right, Dusty, time for predictions.
Okay.
What's your it doesn't have to be the score or whatever. What's your prediction for the game on Thursday?
Packers win. Christian Watson goes for.
Wait, I'm sorry. Something screwed up here. You said Packers win?
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to make sure I heard you right.
Wrong already.
Yeah, no, Packers win. I don't know if we talked about this the past time. I was on with some other guys, and I picked the Lions last time, and they thought I was doing a reverse jinx. Like, no, I truly believe that. So I think the Packers win. I think the health of those teams. Packers win. Watson goes for 85 plus and a touchdown. I think he has a nice game.
You said that the last time. You said Watson was going to score, and then it started to rain like crazy, and it couldn't.
I know, and I
Just
feel
wanna
like
say-
Love. I need to rewatch it. I think Love missed him on one, so I'm not putting that on me. I'm putting that on Love for that not happening.
Okay.
Just
All right.
saying.
I do got to ask you though, the branch hit that happened in the game. Us Lions fans didn't feel that was enough to be ejected.
No, that was enough. That's enough to be ejected.
You think?
I will say I normally err on the side of it's really like, how do you hit a moving target? Like the guy, like he's kind of got his head down a little bit. And how do you know that the guy's going to put his head down? You're aiming for the center mass and the guy's going down. That to me was very much, he lined him up, put his hands down and launched. Like,
Yeah.
I am not on board with most ejections. That one, I was very much like, no, okay, that's ejectionable. And I understand if you guys don't feel that way. That's totally fine. I usually am on that side. That one specifically, the more replays I saw, to be clear, 1,000% clear, I don't think Brian Branch is a dirty player. I think that was a bad play, and I think ejectionable. Yeah, probably certainly personal foul worthy. Certainly
Definitely.
that was hitting defenseless, but that felt ejectionable just based on that looked like an old school spear to me, watching that. So I'm on board with that call. But fully understand if you guys are not. That's fine.
That's all right, Dusty. We'll have you back on at some point, and maybe this team could play in the playoffs too. We might get a third meeting this year, so it might happen. We tried to get you on with the Colts because I know you cover the Colts too. That just didn't work
Mhm.
out that week. We like you that much that we were going to have you on for that.
Yeah,
but,
I really want to do that. Yeah, that was a busy week.
yeah.
Hey,
no.
yeah, maybe I'll pick up another team next year and we'll do that.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's fine. Well, I'll send you our schedule of who we're going to play, our opponents. Make sure you just pick one of those teams that we're
Right.
playing, so that we can.
I'll make sure to get in good with them. Yeah, it's a good idea.
Yeah.
I got
Dusty,
a question real quick.
Oh, go ahead,
Yeah.
Jacob.
Just I'm not prepared. I don't have all my stuff, but it's something I wanted to ask you, and he might have already talked to you about this. But so the last matchup that we had, we scored with less than a minute left. We kicked a field goal with less than a minute left, and the Packers came out and they seemed like even despite the weather and everything, they were determined to try to get something going. Were you on board? Obviously, it resulted in a pick six, but I mean, just before that, were you on board with the weather and everything, trying to throw it? Even though the game wasn't necessarily going your way, or would you rather have them just taking it to the half?
No, listen, I think if there's because there was like a minute and a half left, something like that. Just taking those runs, and they will slow play that. So I will say the Packers will slow play that sometimes. They get the couple runs. If they get a first down, they get up, they spike, they call timeout, they go no huddle, whatever they want to do. I think based on that game, and I think they weren't down. Yeah, they're down by field goal, right? I think Packers are down by field goal at that point because I think it was 17-10. I think I'm sorry, 10-7 at that point. I think right.
It was 10-3.
10-3. Okay. I think they knew just based on who their opponent was, that being the Lions, points are going to be at a premium, that had trouble scoring in the red zone. If we can get points here, even a field goal before the half, we go for it. Like that's kind of what they like to do. They do try to go for points. So I am a brave man. I am not a coward. I don't agree with draws and give up runs in that position. I think if you've got the dudes you think you got on the outside, you've got your receivers, you've got your quarterback, it's raining, who cares? I think I 100% on board with going for that. I think obviously the results were bad. I don't question the decision at all. I'm absolutely, anytime I see a team doing that where it's like, I mean, you're down heading to the half, you're on your own 25, and you're like, okay, they ran and now they're clearly running out the clock. That's a boo, sir. Do not just go for point, go for glory. What are we doing here? So no, I'm 100% on board with that decision.
I was just interested because obviously, it didn't turn out very well, but then they, got another chance and then they continued like, okay, now we're going to throw the ball. Now we're going to come at you. Even, despite what happened before, now it's 17-3, So it was just interesting that they were fully, 20 seconds left. They're like, no, we're running plays.
Fully on board with it. I'm full. And now I will say, like, if they come out and they're like, okay, we don't like the defense and you want to like play it a little safer, I understand that. But I think based on who the Lions are, based on where you currently are, game's closer than maybe you thought it was going to be at that point. You got a couple breaks. All right, man, just chuck it. I love the decision. I don't love the decision to throw directly to Kirby Joseph. That's a decision I'd tell him to stop doing. But actually going for it, no, absolutely, dude. Gonna like, if you got a guy with that arm like Jordan Love, you got those fast receivers, I'm on board. Just chuck it, man. Get the points when you think you get the points.
Right. And it's different now that we're going to be inside in the dome. Now you're free to do whatever.
Oh, I just 10 like seconds on the 20. Just start throwing, man.
Right.
Like, just,
Well, at very worst, you can get a PI, right? And then you move your guy up. So, I mean, like sometimes it's just worth just chucking it up because it could be like the Matt Stafford, arm punt that he would do. Just throw it up to Calvin. And if he doesn't, then it's a 50-yard punt. So, whatever.
What's the thing? If Love was able to do that, right? Like, if he's able to even get it downfield, they were at the 20 or something at that point. He gets it down to like the other 40, he gets to the 50, whatever. Lions probably go down, maybe get a field goal or something. Maybe they get a touchdown to end that, but you're chucking it downfield, you're taking a chance. The fact that all that stuff was covered and then it's thrown 5 yards for him and gets picked off, like he just missed Jacobs. I watched that again. Like he threw behind Jacobs. Like he didn't see Kirby Joseph. That's fine. That blitz, I will say that blitz was sweet. That was a really nice blitz. They brought pressure. He didn't see it. The way they brought that stuff was really, really cool. And then he threw a bad ball and then it didn't go well for him. He's had a couple of those.
Well, also, I think the groin injury at that point played into it. He could not escape, and so he's, instead of chucking it out of bounds is what he should have did. Because even if I look at that, even if he completes that to Jacobs, Jack Campbell is like immediately behind Jacobs
gets
gonna get blown
3
up.
yards.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't get much out of that.
Right. And it's like, why even, with a minute left, either you're going to, I don't even know if they had timeouts. If they'd have to either burn the timeout, you might as well just throw it out of bounds for 3 yards at that point. But,
Yeah.
that's what happens when pressure can do that to people. So,
Well,
all
I do
right,
think that's I will say, before we get out of here, I will say I think that's a lesson learned. I do think he was bad at throwing the ball out, knowing when to like give up on a play last year. And he kind of got better as the season went on. The season ended with him not giving up on a play and throwing in the middle of the field against the Niners. He came into this year not knowing when to give up on a play. And since that Lions game, he's been better about throwing the ball away, knowing when, like, okay, this is cooked, just throw this away. So I do think that was kind of a lesson learned moment for him. I wish it didn't come on a pick six against a division rival. But you take your lessons where you can get them as long as you learn from them, right?
I hope he forgets and we teach him again.
He might.
All right, Dusty. I know we're wrapping on time here, so why don't you tell people where they can remind them where they can find your stuff at?
Yeah, you can find me at Dusty Evely. I'm mainly over at Blue Sky now. So you can find me there. I am doing writing at Acme Packing Company, writing for Coltswire. I need to write something over there this week now that I'm thinking about it. And podcast at Pack a Day Podcast, which I'm doing in about 5 minutes here. So we're on the Wednesday edition of Pack a Day Podcast. You can find me anywhere and everywhere.
Well, Dusty, you've been great. I book you for every show if you start covering all the teams. So, just know that you got a spot here at Talking Grit. We really appreciate everything. And I know you're pushing on time. So have a good night, man.
It was well. Appreciate you guys. Good to talk to you again.
Yeah, good to see you.
All right. Fun times with Dusty. Always a good time. So happy he's on here. He's always welcome to come back. Jacob, let's get into the keys to victory.
Key to victory is a pretty obvious key to victory, but I think it's the most important key to victory. We got to slow down Josh Jacobs. We just have to. I mean, the last game that we played, obviously the weather and stuff had against them too, but that was when the first quarter seemed like it took like 20 minutes of real time to go 15 minutes of game clock, just because we were both running back and forth, their drive and our drive. He's going to get carries. They're going to keep feeding him the ball. I mean, the biggest key here, outside of just saying, okay, stop Josh Jacobs, the key here is going to be our linebacker play. It's going to be who's going to step up, how are they going to step up. We know Jack Campbell's game. We're going to see more Ben Neiman, David Long, Ezekiel Turner. Who knows if Jamal Adams is really going to, if he's going to play, if he's going to be right out there, if he's going to be right out at linebacker like that. I haven't heard about Quan Alexander either. I don't know. Does he play? I mean, how many reps does he actually get here? That's the biggest key to stopping him, I think, is going to be the linebacker play.
I think you're right there. I mean, DJ Reader being out is really gonna, if he's out, they may put Broderick Martin in there and we'll see what he's got. He's another big body that could take up two blockers, allow those linebackers to run free. And I think you're right on. The only other way that we can stop Josh Jacobs, and that is in with defense. That's with offense, and that's by lighting up the scoreboard, right? So, I mean, I could see a situation where if we're down DJ Reader, Lions, they win the coin toss, they may take the ball. They may take it first and go down and score. Not that one touchdown's going to, change their whole game plan, but we're hoping that we could, rip off 4 or 5 possessions in a row where we're scoring touchdowns or field goals and just keep it on them. And then hopefully we get some stops. And then, we could pour it on them because that's another way we could stop Josh Jacobs by doing that. Josh Jacobs, just so you know, in the 3 games that they played since the Lions, he's rushed for 76, 106, and then only 43 in that Thanksgiving Day game. Then they played the Dolphins. So you're 100% on. That was one of my keys to victory is to slow down Josh Jacobs. You said it's an obvious one. It's obvious, but it's not easy.
Right.
All right. The other thing is, Jordan Love likes to throw it deep. We just need to don't let them get the deep shots. And hopefully we can corral, an interception or 2 out of it too. If we put the pressure on Jordan Love, he will throw a pick. And then that's proven out this year. Whether we can get pressure on him, that's going to be another, that'll be tough. We showed when we got put pressure on him last time, he threw that pick to Kirby Joseph. hopefully we can, Kirby can get another one just deep because he seems to own Packers quarterbacks. I'd like to see him get another one here. Last year on Thanksgiving, that's how they started out the game, right? They hit us with some deep shots. Now that secondary, we're a lot better in secondary than we were last year, so maybe they start attacking us different. But I would just be prepared for some shots early.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what we were concerned about the last matchup too, but I think the weather took that out of it.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be interesting because I think this is one of those games where, traditionally you win the coin toss. Most of the time you defer to the second half. In a matchup like this in division with these two teams, I almost think whoever wins the coin toss is going to want the ball first.
Yep.
Let our offense set the tone for how this game is going to go.
I agree. I think that, depending on, Packers are going to want to show out and just try to run and just kind of control things. I think the Lions are going to go pass. And I know that hasn't worked out for them terribly, but there's injuries in the Green Bay secondary. And it seemed like in that game, the weather was weird, obviously, in the Packers game, but we were passing when they were expecting run and running when they were expecting pass. We had them all confused, Green Bay's defense. And I know that score was only 10 points, but that game was not a 10-point game. We had that pretty much under control, and we let them score late in that game to get, within 10 points. We pretty much controlled that game the whole second half. The Kirby pick just sealed it, in my opinion. This is going to be a different game, which is really funny because, going into, we talked about it with Dusty, going into the other game, like the weather, it's going to help the Packers out. But really, I think the weather helped the Lions out more. Goff played well, and the Green Bay Packers, receivers could not hold onto the ball. And I don't think the wet conditions in that game helped them at all. And now we're going to be in a track indoor playing basically a track game. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, I told you before. I think we have differing opinions about this, but I like the indoor football. I know you said before that you kind of like the outdoor, or at least a few times you like having the outdoor and the elements and different things like that. But I want our best to beat them at their best. I want both teams' best to be out there. And I just feel like, if you watch the Bills and 49ers game that just happened with the snow, and obviously the Lions have had a couple of snow games too, then, the game plans almost start going out the window. And it's not necessarily that the better team wins. It's just whatever team adapted better, or, whichever one had the lucky breaks here or there. The ball slides your way, or, somebody slips and I just don't like that aspect being added. That's why I like the indoor more.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't want all my games played in elements like that, but it is nice to change it up every once in a while. Although, if my team loses because of some sort of element, then yeah, I'm going to be mad. But you're right. We want to beat them at their best. It's going to be in our house. It's going to be loud. It's going to be super loud in there. They might break a decibel record in this game, depending on how the Lions go. Hated rivals coming to town. We win this 100%. We're in the playoffs already. I think we're above 99%. So it's pretty foregone conclusion we're going to make the playoffs. But if we win this, it's 100% that we're in the playoffs. Knocking out the Packers. Yeah, it's I am excited for this one. I think it's going to be a big test for us, though. And it's going to be a big test for the Packers too.
Yeah, I do like that. After this game, we do have that 10-day break before the Bills game because that's another tough matchup upcoming. And knock on wood, there's no more major injuries in this one, but we're already pretty banged up. So it'd be nice to kind of hit the reset for the last stretch of the season.
I'm feeling better about this than I was after the Bears game. I think all the Bears game, we all felt like a weird feeling. First of all, we felt like we should have won by a lot more. Game shouldn't have come down to where it was. But then the injuries on top of that felt like a loss. It was tough to take because, you're looking forward. But as that's kind of worn off, I feel Lions are going to look at that as a badge of honor to go out there and just keep winning. And this team is built right. At some point, those injuries build up, but we just need to basically tread water till we start getting some of these guys back. And I think we could do more than tread water against the Packers. I think we can win.
Oh, we can win every single game that's on the schedule, right?
Right.
We've already proven that time and time again, despite the injuries or whoever we've got out there. Definitely. I mean, we're there to compete. And that still holds true when we talked about before the season started. We don't you don't necessarily have to get the 1 seed and get the first round bye. Obviously, that's what you're aiming for. That's what you want. You want the Pats to run through Detroit, but we'll play anybody anywhere, and we can win in any weather, any city. Does not matter. We're built for the playoffs. We just need to, not sustain any more injuries and stay healthy until then.
Yeah, of course we'd love to be home. Just selfishly, I'd like to because I have tickets for that game. I would
Yeah.
love to see him at home. But if we had to go on the road, we're undefeated on the road. There's a reason that we're undefeated on the road. We're built, like you said, to win in a lot of different environments. We're mentally tough. Crowd won't be a factor in the sense of, the pressure or whatever. They love that. Dan Cable's mentioned that a lot, that they almost thrive on that because it feels like it's them against the world. Now, when he said that, I kind of laughed because a lot of these stadiums are half full with Lions fans.
Right.
If you get down, the Lions fans will get drowned out. Just like when you didn't hear the Lions fans in the Texans game until we started mounting that comeback, and then the Lions fans took over. So I mean, it's partly on the team to play well to get the fans, pumped up. Anything else you got for keys to victory, Jacob?
No, I mean, it's the same thing week in and week out, right? We want to play Lions football. We want to control the game, win the turnover battle, limit the mistakes, just last week for everything to go as well as it did in the first half and to be firing on all cylinders. And I guess one key to victory I'll add, get Gibbs more than 2 carries in the second half.
Yeah, that'd be nice, for sure. I will say the only thing that I want to add is that Love, when you look at his stats, does a lot more damage with zone coverage, which is notable because the Lions play a ton of man, and Love seems to struggle more with man than with zone. So that's a good thing, especially with us getting Carlton back and having Sub-Zero himself, Terry and Arnold out there, getting our number ones out there out. I think we'll be all right. I think that we can weather this storm. Especially when you compare to last year's Thanksgiving Day game when they were throwing deep. I don't look for those opportunities to be there like they were last year. So we'll see. I think it goes down to what we started out, the keys to victory. Slow down Josh Jacobs. I don't think you'll be able to stop him. We just need to slow him down. All right, Jacob, Monty versus Gibbs. Now this one is hilarious because
Yeah, right.
you would have thought the way that game was going that Gibbs was just going to wipe the floor, but Monty got more carries in the second half, and I edged G out 88 to 87 as far as yards. So I get
That's
to pick.
wild.
I know.
88. Hang on, because I've got the stat line here too. So David
Yeah.
Montgomery, 88 yards on 21 attempts,
Yeah.
and then Jahmyr Gibbs, 87 yards on 9 attempts.
I know. Well, we don't go by yards per carry; we go by overall yards.
Absolutely,
So Yeah.
absolutely.
So I'm going to pick Gibbs this week.
Okay.
This is gonna be a Gibbs game.
Last
you
week was
get
a Gibbs
mine.
game.
Yep, it was, and it
That's
should have
okay.
been. Yeah. So I'm picking Gibbs.
I
in
mean, he
this
should
one.
have broke 120, 130.
I know.
What could have been? Do you think? I mean, while we're talking about this, do you think? I don't know if you saw Scotty Montgomery, the running back coach, what he said before, but he said there's absolutely never a situation where a hit, where it's okay to fumble the ball, because we kind of talked about Gibbs. He's trying to get more yards. He kind of gets hit awkwardly. The ball pops loose. Coach says inexcusable. Never a hit. Never a reason that you should drop the ball. Do you think that had anything to do with them? I mean, because they still rotated. I mean, they still did what they do. They still kind of rotated their drives. Just for whatever reason, they didn't let Gibbs carry the ball in the second half, but twice.
Yeah, I don't think it had anything to do with him only getting 2 carries. The fumble you're talking about, I don't think that had anything to do with him getting 2 carries. I don't think it was a punishment. I just think they flip-flop drives, and then it just happened on Gibbs' drive. They just weren't in a position, they just didn't run it. And I don't think it had anything to do with that, which is a shame because, like you said, 9 carries for 87 yards. He's averaging almost 10 a clip, right? And it's a first down every time he touches the ball. It would have been nice to give him the ball a little bit more. It just didn't work out for whatever reason. That fumble, looking back on it, he's thinking end zone. And so, he didn't put 2 arms on that ball. So, I mean, I'm sure Montgomery said, you got to be bracing for contact. You got to also give it to the defender. It was an awesome time to hit. I mean, he hit him
Right.
right
Right.
on the ball, came to the side. The ball popped way up in the air, just happened to fall right into a, Bears player's hands.
One other thing I want to mention while we're talking about the Gibbs thing, I know we talked about this already, but the whiteboard picture.
Yeah.
So for anybody that didn't see, Gibbs posted a picture on social media of Jamar Jefferson. He's standing in front of the whiteboard, which, does have certain drop back protections and different things like that, which I know you saw it and probably everyone saw it. But did you actually read the whiteboard? Did you see these code names?
Yeah, I saw some of the code names. I don't have them committed to memory, but yeah, like
hilarious. Yeah. There was Julia Roberts, Khloe Kardashian. Some of them were just like spider and, the colors red, blue, gold. But I mean, it was funny that it's like red, blue, spider. And then the next one is Caitlyn Jenner.
Yeah. Well, when you see all those calls on the board, you just have another respect for Frank Ragnow. You think about, we think of like, they need to know the play. Are they running a Texas route or, whatever. But they're also have all these different protection calls that they got to know. I had like the weird like conspiracy thought in my head that, they purposely put this out there.
I wondered that too.
I don't think that's any remotely true. They would never do that. But, are they playing 4D chess where they're like, oh, we're just going to throw this out there and see? Because if you're the Packers, that they've changed all those calls up. They're not going to leave it on there. I think it was Justin Rogers that said that Ben Johnson is like one of the most paranoid offensive coordinators. So, he probably has everything switched up by now.
Right. I did see the quote that Dan Campbell had though, because they asked him about it, about like the code words and stuff like that, how concerned he was, or if he was mad at Gibbs or whatever. And I think he said like Gibbs, he's not going to play anymore, which was obviously a joke. But he did say, he was like, the exact quote says, I don't really give a crap. If we're going to lose because of code words, then we're not good enough anyway. I think we'll just post the whole freaking playbook and every code word we've got. It doesn't matter. It's not going to hurt us.
Yeah. I know. I don't believe that that's true. That's kind of like hyperbole or whatever.
Right.
I mean, at the bottom of the line, most of the teams run the same things, and it's a matter of execution, of running it and then calling it when it's best and knowing your opponent better. Ideally, they don't have that stuff posted, probably because, especially on this short week, they're going to have to, do some little gymnastics with that stuff. But if you're the Packers, they may use those code words. They may use those same code words, and you think they might switch them up. Being paranoid about, if they're going to commit all that stuff to memory about what all those protections mean. So I think it's a non-story, but probably not the smartest move if you're Gibbs. All right, Jacob, let's move on to grit picks.
Grit picks.
All right. Week 13 wrap up for grit picks. See here. Thursday night football, which we'll just say Thanksgiving Day football. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we didn't pick the Lions game. Giants at Cowboys. We both went Cowboys. We were right there. Dolphins at Packers. I said the Dolphins. Jason said the Packers. He wished them good luck. He's the reason that they won. Yeah. So way to freaking go.
Yeah, it's just me.
Yeah, it was. It was just you. Yep. You wore your Packers socks. And
oh, my God.
Sunday night football, 49ers at Bills. We both went Bills, and they definitely took care of business. Monday night football, Browns at Broncos. We both went Broncos. The Broncos won that game. And that was actually a very good game. On paper, you're thinking Browns and Broncos, maybe not, but it was actually very good. Entertaining, close. So that brings the total right now to this point. I am 27-11, and Jason is 24-14.
All right.
Still bringing in the rear.
Yep, that's all right. I'm the butt of a lot of jokes, so I'm used to being back there. So week 14, I'll start out here. Packers at Lions, obviously Thursday night football. We both believe the Lions are going to win, so we're not even going to bother picking that game. Let's move on to Sunday night football. Good game here. I'm excited to watch this one. Chargers at Chiefs. I'll start out. Chargers are going to win this one. They're going to take it to the Chiefs this night. What do you got?
I actually have the same.
Right.
I don't know if it's just because of my Michigan Harbaugh thing and, wanting the Chargers to do really well, but the defense is really good. The Chiefs have just been skating by every which way, just, getting lucky really in and out. There's just countless things have happened this season to get them to where they're at right now. So it's crazy. I definitely think the Chargers are going to win this game.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, you got a miss snap on the last game. Just crazy.
I just
stuff.
don't get that. And it's like that stuff happens and it tends to be in the Chiefs' favor all the time,
I know. People always want to talk about the refs being in their back pocket, and I don't necessarily buy into all that, but sometime the luck's going to run out, and I think it's going to be this week. I think the Chargers take it to them. Monday Night Football, Bengals at Cowboys. Cowboys still in prime time, even though as dismal as they are. Who you picking in this one, Jacob?
I'm going Bengals in this one. The Bengals try to find ways to lose football games, so I don't understand what's going on there. But yeah, Cowboys it's interesting. Same as what I said with the Giants, where it's like the Cowboys have a very good defense, and the Giants had a terrible offense. So it was like I think the Cowboys were going to hold them off long enough for them to score some points. This one's kind of different because the Bengals have a really good offense. And then you flip-flop that. Bengals defense is kind of iffy, but are the Cowboys going to be able to score at all? So, I think that one's kind of a toss-up there, but I am going to say that the Bengals win this one.
All right. Well, I'm taking the Cowboys in this one. So
all right.
We have a little difference this week. I just want them to ruin their draft position. Now, I just think the Cowboys Dowdle's going to be able to run on the Bengals. I think the Bengals are going to find a way to screw this up. So I'm just going with Cowboys. It's a toss-up game to me, to be honest with you. But Cowboys being at home, Monday Night Football, they won't have to worry about the lights coming in, at a weird angle,
right.
maybe. Stupid.
CeeDee Lamb could get 300 yards and 2 or 3 touchdowns. The Bengals defense has been bad, but
yeah, we'll see. Grit guarantee time.
It's time for the Grit Guarantee.
I will. I'm going to start out here. I am going to go Gibb rushes for the most in one game this season. So the highest he's gone is in the Titans game, 127. He best set this game. He goes for over 127.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
For my Grit guarantee this week, I'm going to say that Goff has over 3 touchdown passes.
Over 3? So 4, minimum of 4?
4 to 5.
4 to 5. Man, take it. I'll take it, man. That would be awesome.
It's interesting the way the play calling went last week when they get down to the goal line, which as I'm saying this is going to be, the opposite of what I just said. But, we get down to the goal line and then he had those short touchdown passes. He had the 3-yard pass to Laporta and then the 1-yard pass to Laporta. And then it broke our touchdown streak of the rushing touchdowns. So that was weird that they were calling passes within the zone like that. I just think he's going to hit some guys
deep.
Hopefully.
Yep. I think I think J-Mo gets a touchdown in this one too. So if you're doing anytime touchdown, I have a feeling J-Mo's going to get one in this one. Also, I would not put it past Amon-Ra, to get one in this one too. His streak broke last week, so he's going to be wanting to get back on the board.
Especially against the Packers.
Speaking of those wide receivers, I don't know if you saw this or not, but Josh Reynolds was waived today by the Broncos.
I did not see that. That is brand new information.
So,
did he ask for the Broncos to waive him, and is he coming back?
I would be shocked if he's not on our practice squad soon. Maybe not before this game, but I would be shocked if he's not back on this practice squad at some point, because I think DPJ is still on our practice squad. I could be wrong, but I got to imagine you would kick him off and put Josh Reynolds on there in a heartbeat.
Right.
I would assume Josh Reynolds would want to come back.
Oh my God. He's got to be calling right now.
I know.
Just let me back in, man.
Yeah, just let me back in the building. So,
he knows the playbook. He'll slide right back in. I mean.
Yep. Yeah, I want some of those dig routes that he would run. He had a gunshot wound earlier this year. But it seems like he's healthy for that.
Well, he was on injured reserve, right?
Yeah, but they waived.
And instead of returning, they had to cut him.
they had to cut him. Yeah, that was a choice. They had to either put him back on the
Okay.
active roster or
So we
waive
don't
him.
know if he's even healthy right now.
We don't know, but I think that they had a choice, and also he got waived, so he's got to clear waivers before he has a chance to sign with the Lions. So if another team could pick him up, and then he would have to go to that team. But the opportunity that he's out there is still there. So I don't know how much on other teams that they're going to want Josh Reynolds. So he may clear waivers and end up back on our roster, which would be crazy. All right, Jacob. Big game. Super excited for the Packers Thursday night. Going to be staying up late. I got Friday off, which is awesome. My boys do not. But we let them stay up, and I hope they're in good moods on Friday morning because that means the Lions won.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So,
Victory Friday.
oh, Victory Friday. I know. I want to get back to Victory Monday though, right? And then, except
right.
for
Nothing like
Yep.
it.
a couple weeks, we'll have play these 49ers and how that. We were all amped up for this game before the season. Like, this is the game. This is the game we're going to get our revenge. We still get our revenge, but it's going to be half-hearted because
Yeah.
not going to be the same. But it's all right. I'll take an easier game, especially with all the injuries we've incurred. I'll take it. We don't need to beat ourselves up right before the playoff push, and hopefully we got everything lined up, and that'll be our last game where we play our starters until the second week of the playoffs. So I'll have like
Right.
2 weeks off.
There you go.
But all right, man. Good talking with you as always. All right, for Jacob, I'm Jason. Let's go Lions.